Whoop, whoop.
First and foremost, I'm having a lot of fun with the button. So Jake and I are just sitting around drinking our tea. Can't say no brands yet.
Please sponsor us.
Please sponsor us, tea. I think you know exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying tea. Please sponsor us.
Fucking tastes so good. Holy shit.
Yes, it does. I'm drinking the pineapple one. I think I can say that. I can say the flavor because you don't know what it is, but you might.
It's our favorite tea, I would say.
It's a good one.
It's good.
So today,
So fucking excited.
yeah, and a little more, I'm going to say depressing. It's kind of,
Oh boy.
it's kind of depressing. I mean, it's sad. It definitely is sad. It's not a
I'm in for it,
happy
am I?
story. Yeah, I would say yeah. I think especially because you yourself, you like to ski, right?
I do.
So
I do go down the slopes every once in a while.
would you ever do like a couple day, I guess ski trek in the mountains if you had the chance?
Possibly.
So like you and a bunch of buddies just decide, hey, like let's just go up and like ski for a couple days and
I mean, I did that in Steamboat, so
yeah.
similar.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So this particular incident,
Now you have me nervous.
yeah, a little bit, yeah, you should be.
Oh.
So I discovered this when I was actually a kid, this story, and it scared me to death. And I've always been fascinated by it. Nobody knows what the fuck happened, so it's still a mystery. Just going to throw that out there. If you're looking for a happy ending or some kind of tie-in, you won't get one. But we will theorize and discuss what we think happened. So we'll see. But I put together, after doing a bunch of research, I put together the whole story. So I'm just going to read this for Jake. And we're going to see, well, and you guys, we're going to see.
I'm not the only listener.
I know. I gotta drink up, buddy.
Oh yeah. I'm in for it.
Drink some of your tea. All right. On January 23rd, 1959, 10 Russian students decided to climb the northern Ural Mountains in Russia for a cross-country ski tour. Students were currently enrolled at the Ural Polytechnic Institute, which was a technical university in the southern Urals. They were all a part of the Outdoors and Sporting Club at the university, which meant that they trained for trekking trips that would take them deep into the Ural Mountains. Apparently, they weren't very experienced, but that didn't stop them from choosing a more difficult route. It's kind of like when a newer skier decides to ski down a black diamond.
Okay.
Done
that before. Scary as fuck.
Yeah, scary. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, you got to watch out for the tree wells because
I don't know what that is. I'm not a skier.
So when skiing, if you go down double black diamonds and stuff, the trees, they have wells of snow that are like 5-6 feet deep, maybe even more, that if you're skiing alone, you will not be able to get out of if you get in one. So it's a very scary thing.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So probably do you bring a couple people with you?
Oh yeah, don't ski alone if you're going to ski that hard.
Okay, fair enough. So that's pretty much
unless you know exactly what you're doing. But even then,
yeah,
stuff can still happen to you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that was their experience level though. It was just kind of like that. So they were led by a fifth-year radio engineering student, Igor Dyatlov, hence the name. The path of their trip was known among everybody for its intense storms, which included high winds as well as heavy and blinding blizzards. The journey itself was meant to begin on January 23rd and end on February 12th. The mountain the students were trying to climb is known as Mount Atorton. It stands around 3,500 feet in elevation. The crazy thing is that, according to the indigenous people that live there, the Mansi people, Atorton means don't come here. So that's, I don't think we have any mountains here in Colorado that are named that. But
I don't think so.
The students traveled during the first few days, first by train, and sang songs with each other and stuff until around 3 a.m. They captured most of their journey in their diaries, which recorded good times, annoyances from other students, and people that they met, and a lot of laughter and just generally good spirits the entire time. They finished their little journey there. They hopped on a bus for a while, and then they arrived at the first base camp. Yeah, in a truck. Finally, on January 27th, they put their skis on and headed out on foot. However, one of the students, Yuri Yudin, he had prior health issues, and shortly after they began their trek on foot, he apparently had a pretty big problem with his leg, and he decided to turn back by himself. So his 9 fellow students continued on without him. So there's that. Yeah. The rest of the group camped the next 3 nights along the Lozva and Aspia rivers. On January 31st, it was time to begin their ascent of the, God help me here, Kolot Sykhil Mountain. I hope to God I got that right. This mountain sat about 9 miles from Mount Torton, and in the indigenous language, that mountain means dead mountain.
What's up with these names?
I don't know. They knew something for sure, man. So while the Mansi named it that, particularly because of the landscape of the mountain, it was, a barren tundra where nothing grew. Mm-hmm. It was also known to be a mountain where their hunters wouldn't return often, thus creating legends in their own culture. And unfortunately, Dyatlov and his fellow students added to that sad and unsettling name. On the night of February 1st, 1959, a sudden and disastrous blizzard hit the group pretty hard. Not being able to see much, the group continued to climb too far and too high, each foot of elevation worsening the storm. Instead of trying to head back down the mountain, the students decided to set up camp decently close to the summit. Now, when the group didn't come back on February 12th, like they were supposed to, the leaders of the outdoor sporting club at the university said that Dyatlov did tell them that he thought the trip might actually take until the 14th or the 15th to complete. However, when those days came and went with no new information, search parties were dispatched. Students, teachers, police, with the help of dogs, helicopters, and anybody else that wanted to help, they set out on a trip of their own to help find the missing students. On February 25th, one of the groups found their first clue of the students. Back at one of the rivers, they found signs of footprints. Luckily, the storm didn't take any of those away. They spent the day following the footprints along the pass until they found bits of a tent poking out of the snow. Sure enough, inside the tent, all of the students' personal items, but the students themselves were nowhere to be found. So they found all their shit. So the items that were found inside the tent were their jackets, parkas, blankets, hats and socks, food and tools to cook with, 9 pairs of boots. They also found the students, or 8 of the students' pairs of skis outside near the tent.
So they didn't even have their ski stuff with them at all.
No.
Just left behind. Wild.
And then they found the bodies. So now, it could have just been that the weather had caused them to get hypothermia. Maybe an avalanche got them, but something about the discovery just didn't add up. Here's where things get weird. The tent itself on the side, I don't know what you call that. It was one of the triangle tents and on the side. So the tent itself featured 3 different cuts. It was later determined that the students cut the tent from the inside as if trying to escape and couldn't get out of the front. They also discovered footprints in the snow that were scattered in all different directions. The footprints showed that the students were barefoot before meeting their fate. The first 2 bodies were found almost a mile from the remnants of the tent, and they were lying next to each other under a tree. The weirdest thing is that they were found in nothing other than their thermal underwear, and they were both barefoot. About 1,000 feet away from the first 2 bodies, searchers found Igor Dyatlov, the leader of the group. He, unlike the first 2, was dressed in warmer clothing, but he still didn't have any shoes on. He was found holding a large birch tree branch. Why? Some believe he was trying to wave it, perhaps in an attempt to find his fellow students. Others believe that he was using it for defense. It could be that he was just trying to find some firewood. So there's that. Then, about another 1,000 feet away from Igor, search dogs found another student. She, like the others, had no shoes on and her nose had been bleeding. She was also wearing warmer clothes. Still no shoes. It wasn't until March 5th that another body was discovered. He was found even higher in elevation and had only 1 boot on. His skull also appeared to be fractured, but it was determined that he died from hypothermia. So they also don't know what the fuck fractured his skull. He was the last body found until May, when the snow had melted quite a bit. They then found the remaining bodies thanks to the discovery of the students' clothing items that were scattered around the area. Searchers found the final 4 bodies under about 7 feet of snow. While one of them was found frozen to death, another was found with the base of their skull crushed in. There was no external trauma, but his head had severe internal bleeding. Another one had her ribs shattered on both sides and massive bleeding inside of her chest cavity. And if that wasn't weird enough, she was also missing her tongue and eyes.
What?
Yeah. The final body was also found with his chest crushed in, and his eyes were also missing.
See, I could get behind an avalanche taking them out and crushing them, 100%, but the tongue and eyes missing?
Yeah. Now, the medical examiner in charge of all the students' autopsies said that the last 3 bodies sustained injuries he described as, quote, ones you would only find in a massive explosion, end quote. Even stranger, some of the items of clothing that were found on the students had strangely high amounts of radiation on them. Yeah. After decades of the mystery baffling everyone, in 2019, Russian researchers made one final investigation in the Dyatlov Pass incident. They determined that the students died in an avalanche. However, most people don't buy this theory, as the majority of the tent was found outside the snow and the tracks were still visible. If an avalanche came down, people think, snow would cover up the tracks.
Right.
So there were a few things that everyone can agree on. The evidence points to the students tearing themselves out of their tent in such a hurry that they left their shoes and warm clothing behind as they braced the frozen elements in an attempt to escape something. We just don't know what. Other theories that I found online, people think it could be aliens. People think it could be some other kind of monsters. Some people think it could be the Manzi people themselves. However, they were some of the people that helped with the finding. Like they searched, they also helped search for the bodies. So, that was kind of dismissed. The Yeti is a popular thing. And, here's a big one, Russian experiments. Some people think that they stumbled upon like a Russian experimental site or something, and then they
were testing some sort of explosive
something, man.
Yeah.
So, while the diaries in the journals of the students have been recovered and lead up to the events until that fateful night, it is unfortunate that nobody except those students will likely ever know the truth of what happened on that mountain. And if you're wondering what happened to Yuri, the one
that stayed behind?
Yeah, the guy who left. He returned home and lived until 2013.
Really?
Yeah. So that's it.
It's like he almost knew.
I don't know. I haven't been able to find anything about them asking him, any kind of
investigation,
no input or anything like that.
Really?
They did rule out foul play. They said, maybe one of the students got upset or something and tried, some shady shit, but they ruled that out pretty quickly because there was no external problem. So
interesting.
Yeah, I think
this could be a hot take, but
yeah, I want to hear it.
What if the people that helped them find the bodies were also a part of it, and because of that, they were easily not a part of the investigation
like
anymore?
Dismissed.
Yeah. They're like, if we help find them and act like we're just helping search, maybe they'll not even think about us being the people involved.
Maybe, but I do think, so if we don't have iPads yet or anything, but they have all the pictures of them online. So
of the bodies?
Yeah.
Really?
So you can see, it's actually kind of sad because, and if you want, our audience, if you want to look, it's pretty easy to find. It's pretty sad and unfortunate. You can see, they took pictures of their journey up there. So you see there's photographs of them bracing the blizzard. I think that was the last known photograph that they took. There was, there was photographs of them just having fun. They were at the bars or whatever beforehand. They were all hugging each other and stuff. And then, you contrast that with what they ended up as, and it's just so sad. They were frozen, their eyes were missing and stuff, and it's bad, dude. So
Interesting.
super sad. So, I don't know if anybody, I would probably myself rule out foul play too. I've thought about this for a long time, and I couldn't tell you. I still don't have like a set theory.
It's very confusing.
Yeah.
When you think about all the pieces of the puzzle,
Exactly.
they all don't align at all on everything that they've said.
Yeah.
Explosions. First off, I didn't know they could blow out your eyes and tongue. That's interesting.
Yeah.
By the coroner's decision.
Yeah. Well, they said it was mostly the eyes and the tongue wasn't really what he was talking about there. I think it was more of the
their chest.
the fractures in the skull.
Okay.
And like
that would make a little
chest
bit more
cavity
sense. Yeah.
and all that. Yeah. So it was a lot of internal bleeding, which that's why I think they came to the conclusion that it was an avalanche.
Sure.
Was because of that, but that still doesn't explain why.
No snow.
Well, why did they rip themselves out of the tent and then run just like in no clothes and no shoes? It's a blizzard. Have you ever? Some of them got like a mile away. Like, dude, I walk outside in the snow sometimes, like just barefoot, and I'm like, man, I got to get back inside. My feet are cold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it is
a
odd
mile?
that they wouldn't even attempt to put on their boots or clothes.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I'm saying. And
Wild.
the radiation on the clothes, I didn't find a good enough explanation for that. I know they were talking about the eyes and the tongue missing. One theory said that it was because I guess they were decomposing in the snow too long, or they were close to like the riverbed or something, and it just, I guess that takes away your eyes and your tongue. But I feel like, okay, eyes I could get, right?
Mhm.
But like
Because it's tissue.
exactly, but like your tongue, isn't that like correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that like an organ? Isn't your tongue like an organ? Or is it a muscle or some shit?
It's definitely a muscle.
So it's a muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think water can like dissolve a muscle, right? Like, sure, you can get waterlogged and be like, I could just be so wrong right now and making an absolute fool of myself. But as far as I know, I don't know.
Well, I don't know the decay state of a tongue or
Yeah.
muscle. I
Yeah.
have no idea.
And that was only one guy I saw who said that. So
But you said some of them, well, at least the ones that were missing, they were
Yeah.
found months later, right?
yeah, they were under a bunch of snow. They had to wait till, everything melted,
Right.
or the majority of it melted.
So if they were under snow,
Yeah.
it could make sense for an avalanche,
Yeah, it
an
could.
explosion. I think it could be a little bit of all of the above. Scapegoat, avalanche, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They're covering up that they were testing some explosives that
Yeah.
might have went wrong. Didn't also know that people were up there, right?
Could be. Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh shit, we got to cover things up because we don't want this coming back to us and tracing it back to us."
Yeah.
Like it is possible. I don't think the Yeti. I find that one
It's
hard
a
to
big
believe.
like belief though up there. It's like, we have Bigfoot, right? But they have the Yeti. And apparently
And-
their Yeti actually like does shit. Like our Bigfoot, like we don't hear people disappearing and we're like, "Oh yeah, it's Bigfoot." There's people up there that like believe the Yeti did shit, and like if somebody goes missing, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's the Yeti."
They were found,
True.
and I don't know what a Yeti would do to a body.
I don't even.
So
Yeah, there's no
hard to
external.
tell.
There's no external damage. It was all internal.
Right, and me not believing in that type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that. I don't know. I just don't think it's a Yeti, and I'm
Yeah.
not to bash on people's beliefs, but I just find that hard.
I think another thing that we need to look at too, though, is the Mansi people, the indigenous people that
Mm-hmm.
live there. They literally say like, "Don't go to the mountain."
So they know something,
They
or it seems like they
it
know
says that their hunters would climb that mountain and would often not come back. So they stopped like going up there.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like, and if you have enough experience to like, name 2 mountains after like Dead Mountain or Don't Go There,
Yep.
like you probably should do that. Like not do that.
Take the advice. Don't go up there.
Exactly. It's not like we have the what are the 2 peaks down in southern Colorado? The ones that are like in between Alamosa and like Raton. Have you seen those? They literally call them like it's in
Rabbit Ear?
No. It's in the name of the Spanish Peaks. The Spanish Peaks. And I think what is it? They in the Native American, one of the Native American languages or something, it's literally called like the boobs of the earth or some shit. I'm not kidding.
Really?
Yeah. So like we have that, but they have Dead Mountain in Russia.
People would go to the boob mountains.
I would.
Sure.
Oh, 100%. And I went to college down there. They definitely do look like boobs. It's kind of crazy.
A little perky.
Yeah, but nah, it's unfortunate that, we'll likely never know what happened. And I think that it's kind of irritating. It's like, I just want to know what happened. These poor students just were out there having a good time, enjoying their life, just like how, we're going on a camping trip next week and we're sitting here like, oh yeah, it'll be fun and all that. What if we don't come back?
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. And so it's like, shit, man. It's heavy.
They just thought they were going for a casual ski trip.
Yeah, some of the Igor Dyatlov, he sent his final postcard was talking about how he was gonna the group was gonna come back or whatever, and he was gonna go to a different town for a little bit and then come back. And it was like you could just tell, like they had no idea, man. It just was something that happened just like in the spur of the moment.
So you might have looked this up. The guy that didn't end up going and turning back, right?
Yeah.
Did he just die of old age in 2013?
Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah. He
Okay.
just died. So he apparently, according to everybody you can read also the diaries logs. They're from everybody. They're on the internet. They're kind of hard to, I guess, read.
I'm sure they're not in English, right?
Well,
and they were translated, right?
Yeah, they have the translated version. So there's a lot of, inaudible or unintelligible. Is that how you say it? Like you can't read it. Anyway, yeah, there's a bunch of those words. And it's just like, okay.
Illegible?
So, illegible. Thank Jesus Christ. I'm an author and I don't know that.
I've also messed up a few words on the show already.
It's okay.
So, we're just humans. We're humans. We're humans.
Yeah. Like we said before, this is going to be raw. Probably. That was gross. Anyway. Yeah.
It's a wild conspiracy, though. It is.
I definitely. I don't know what I believe, but I do think. I do think some shit went down. I do. I don't think it was an avalanche. I think maybe there was an avalanche after or something that like covered them in snow, but like having to escape your tent and like just cut the shit out of it and then just run like with no shoes or anything. Like, I don't know if something was happening in the tent that they needed to get out of, or maybe they heard the avalanche coming.
Right. And they tried their zipper in a panic.
Yeah.
They couldn't get it.
Could be, but then like, how did the guys up top, like, the other ones were found in the ravine or whatever, but they were found up top. And it's like, how did they outrun the avalanche? Like, it must not have been a very big avalanche, right?
Like I said, testing site.
See, that's what I think. I think some Russian shit went down. And sorry if you're Russian, but they do some shady shit. So I think it was something like that. Just personally, I don't know what, but dude, well, this might be super fucked up, but what do you think of when you think of radiation? What's the first thing you think of when you think the word radiation?
Chernobyl.
Yeah. Glad I'm not the only one.
Well,
Chernobyl.
honestly,
it's like,
little side topic. movie and show are good.
Yeah, Chernobyl. Yeah.
Anyway,
We could talk about that. That's a horror thing.
eventually. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get to it.
That's also super heavy.
But yeah, no, this story is interesting. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and it's just been an unexplained mystery for ever. I mean, sure, you can, write off Avalanche and just call it good, but
Right. It's an
I
easy
just think,
scapegoat.
yeah, I think like this is not it. There's too much that adds up. I don't think you're like missing eyes and a tongue and shit, dude. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know how fast the body decays, but like a couple months, I feel like your eyes and tongue won't be gone yet.
I mean, they'll be frozen, but,
Right.
like,
They won't be gone.
yeah, that's what I think too. Is like, I don't think that your eyes would like melt if you were under a bunch of snow, right? They would just be frozen.
It's almost like preserving your body.
Yeah, right. Unless, yeah, I don't know. It's weird, man. It's weird. So, one thing that we want to do is we do want to ask our listeners, those who are listening. We might not have much of a following yet, but
But even if we do at some point,
yeah, if you come back to this episode, please send us on our email, which we can find where? Where can they find our email?
they'll be able to find it in our bio eventually once we set it up.
Okay.
We haven't set up our fan email yet, so
You'll find our email.
by the time this episode comes out,
Yeah.
it will be created and you'll be able to find it and send us your thoughts
Yeah, we want to know your thoughts on what are your theories on what happened.
or comment under the video
yeah.
and tell us what you think.
Yeah. That's a good one too. Yeah, comment on the YouTube if you're watching this.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know what you think happened cuz
Because we're curious your thoughts.
yeah.
'Cause
That's what
I'm
this
kind of jaw dropped a little bit here.
Yeah, that's what this podcast is like we want to have a discussion about horror and about, some just terrifying shit that might have happened, as well as our occasional lighthearted horror movie discussion, which we have another part to.
True.
So, what I mean by that is in 2013, they did make a found footage horror movie called Devil's Pass, which is based on the events of this. And we are going to basically pause this episode. I mean, you guys won't get a pause, but we're going to pause the episode now that Jake knows the story. We're going to go down, watch it for the first time, both of us. Apparently, it's not very good, but we'll give you our thoughts. And yeah, we'll be back.
All right, guys. We'll catch you in a bit.
See you in a second. Welcome back, guys.
Wow. I mean, just wow.
First of all, spoiler!
We're about to drop a lot of spoilers.
This is going to be a little deep dive in this movie,
Yep.
but I mean, all right. So
Honestly, I don't even know where to begin.
we watched Devil's Pass.
Yep.
It just popped up when I was researching the story for this episode. And well, I mean, it got bad reviews. I know it was like, it wasn't in theaters or anything like that. So, I mean, the budget wasn't that great.
But get this. We rented it for $1.79.
On Amazon Prime.
And on there, it was 4 stars.
Yeah, it was.
And it kind of lived up to those 4
See,
stars.
I think, honestly,
That's why you have to watch horror movies.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
People just like different shit. I mean,
It's
you
true.
guys could watch it and just be like, well, let me just say it wasn't a perfect movie.
No.
Okay.
It
I
had
mean,
flaws.
the CGI of the things,
It was ass.
it was like PlayStation 2 graphics. But everything
Truly.
leading up to it was pretty solid, I
Mhm.
would say. The whole journey to the place, they it was kind of funny because Jake was watching it and he goes, they got the story pretty spot on. They're talking about the whole incident and everything. And it did feel like we were just going through what we already recorded
Yeah.
like 10 minutes before that.
Right.
So yeah, it was pretty sweet. I'm going to give it, and I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, right? Like it did, it didn't, if the shitty CGI apart, the buildup for me, it was pretty solid. It was pretty good. What would you give it?
I'd say probably 3 CGI,
Yeah.
story about a 7.
Yeah.
So I'd give it a solid like 6.
I was going to give
5.
it 6.5.
Yeah.
6.5. I think CGI is a 2 for me for PS2. PlayStation 2 graphics. But no, it was pretty good. I will say it did get to a point though where I did think to myself, and I'm like, out of all of the theories that were out there, this one was pretty out there.
It was.
Like, it was pretty out there. Again, spoiler! The fucking movie turned out to be a time loop movie, which, I mean, shit. That's crazy.
Wasn't expecting that at all.
No, they did a pretty good job with like setting stuff up to then come back later, right? Like,
Yeah, so to spoil it a little bit, let's preface the movie with basically this one lady, she's researching the incident and she decides that she wants to make her own movie about it. So she gathers a couple extreme climbers, herself and an audio engineer, and I think her friend.
yeah, all from the University of Oregon.
Yep.
Sco Ducks.
Basically, so she wants to make a movie about the incident and they want to retrace the steps and see what happened up there. And yeah, they just encounter some crazy shit and it ends up being a time loop about themselves.
Yeah, there's like the one thing that I picked up on was, so there's a scene in the movie where they say the town keeps seeing like orange lights in the sky. And that was my first like, oh shit moment, was like, they're talking about, oh, you know, it could be aliens because people see like, you know, these big orange lights in the sky or whatever. And there's a scene where they're trying to get help after an avalanche, and the guy pops a flare and it's this little like orange thing, and he just like kind of turns around and they're like, what? Like, he's got a weird look on his face and he's just like, orange lights. I was like, oh shit, like, are people just popping flares, you know? But it just seems like that's just them in a time loop,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Whew. Yeah, it was for $1. It's pretty solid. I mean, just know like it's not like, I mean, it's not top tier. You know, some of the acting's kind of mid and stuff, but I would say
Overall, it was entertaining though.
yeah, it was entertaining. I would say the last like 30 minutes of the movie, I was kind of like, okay, like, all right, you kind of lost me.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I did like the little twist at the end. There's a little twist at the end. I don't think we should say that because that's a pretty big, when they go through, you know,
Mhm,
I think that's a pretty cool thing.
If you're
So,
genuinely curious about the movie, go
Yeah.
watch it yourself.
yeah, we don't want to spoil the whole thing, but it is, I would say if you're like at home at night, super late night, you know, and you're just
bored.
like, yeah, you're bored, just trying to watch something, just throw that movie on.
Yeah.
You want a little spook, like the buildup is pretty impressive. You might be let down with, you know, what everything is, but I think the whole idea of like the time loop like keeps you pretty entertained.
Dude, I honestly do like time loop movies because they're just the general, not general, but they're just an interesting twist to movies that you don't always see
Yeah.
in horror. And I like time loops. I really
What was
do.
that one that we watched?
The Triangle?
Triangle?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that shit was that was a good one. I think I agree with you. I think anything that has to do with like time is cool because, you know, you set up these little things early on in the movie that, you know, people pay no mind to. You know, it's just a line at that point. But then it comes back and you're like, oh shit, oh my god. You know, you have those moments.
All the things in this movie, you're like seeing these tracks along the mountain.
Yeah.
You're wondering how they get there, how they move certain ways, and you're not even thinking time travel is how they're moving across the mountain and stuff.
Yeah.
Teleportation.
Yeah.
It was wild. And it all made sense in the end, as it does and as it should.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude, honestly, I was really blown away.
Yeah, I think so too. I
Low expectation.
yeah. Let's say that first. Okay, we went and got some. We went and got some. They haven't sponsored us, so I can some food, some Chinese food, and we were just like, you know, fuck it, let's watch this. And so we did, And I mean, what we were like, bro, we're gonna get back on the podcast and be like, this shitty ass movie. This is gonna be so shit.
We were very prepared to come back on here and just roast the shit out of it.
Yeah, we were for sure. But I think that, I guess if you go in with our with what we're telling you to expect, they might be a little let down.
I agree.
Okay, scratch everything that we said. We're gonna call this movie a piece of shit, but go watch it.
Oh.
I don't know, man. I will say, you know what movie it was better than?
Nice. Dude, I feel like we're going to always circle back to how shit that movie was. It's the lowest of the low on the bar.
I think so. I really do think fucking Night Swim is my least favorite horror movie of all time. Okay. That's a big statement. That's a bold statement. Sorry, you got me. I'm all hot now. I would say the fact that a $1 movie on Amazon can beat like a multi-million dollar fucking Blumhouse movie that has James Wan's name slapped onto it. I mean, bro, just whoever directed that, I don't even know, but just hang up the camera, I guess. Like
throw the towel.
Or whoever was in charge of making that dog shit movie, man. That was so bad. God.
We'll probably always compare things to that.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where we're going to set the bar here.
I think so too.
Every movie we watch.
And obviously here, it's we're going to be a little different than you guys for sure. I mean, you might like some of the movie. I don't believe that there's anybody out there that liked Night Swim, but
there probably is.
There could be. And honestly, if you do, hats off to you. I hope that you enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I hope, that it brought you some of that little horror, because that is the point. Like, who am I to say that, you shouldn't find a movie scary? If a movie does something scary, like in it scratches that itch that you want.
Well, yeah,
that's awesome, because that's what
need to be necessarily scary though.
No, that's like what we're searching for always. You know what I mean? Is we're looking for that horror.
And we're not going to probably rewatch this movie, but we don't feel like we wasted our time watching the movie.
Yeah. It's a good hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it change or help you, I guess, come to a strict conclusion, I guess, on the actual events of the Dyatlov Pass incident?
I wouldn't say conclusion.
A better understanding?
Definitely a better understanding, because I think they went a little nice, a little more in depth of detail than you did, just because it was a movie. It had to, right?
Yeah.
And you just gave us a breakdown, and it was really solid and kind of left it open to interpretation, whereas theirs was it's their interpretation.
They picked a lane and ran with it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought it followed along well. I think the teleportation was a really out there stretch.
Spoiler, by the way.
But overall, like, they had the avalanche scene in there. They had like the Russian government in that. It filled all those conspiracy theories.
It did, yeah,
all in one, and it was kind of mind blowing.
That's a good point. They did like the alien theory with the orange lights or whatever. They did the Yeti theory with the footprints, and then you find out. And then they did the avalanche with an actual avalanche.
Yep.
Then
they had the secret tunnel.
Yeah, the secret tunnel. And then the Russian thing. That's honestly that's my theory. My theory is they did stumble onto some Russian experimental shit and they just got fucked up. I truly think that. I mean, look, if somebody came up to me and they were just like, oh, by the way, we found out what it actually is, and it was like aliens, I'd be like, oh, okay. Like, okay. I'm not like married to the idea that it's a Russian experiment, but if I had to...
That's your conclusion?
Yeah, if I had to put all my money onto that, like I have all the
$5?
options. I'd put
All $5?
I'd put all $5 on that. Fucking vodka. I would like vodka.
What was that one shot they took in that movie? It was like a flaming shot.
Yeah, they did a shot. It was like a Russian like moonshine is what they described it as. Right. But he like filled that shit to the brim and then lit it on fire. And they're like,
yeah, left no room for error there.
Nah, dude, I would totally do that if I was following and some people who like died. Like if I was following in their footsteps, and they were like, yeah, this is the shot that they took before they went and did their thing. I'd be like, they took it in the movie as a bad omen, but I'd be like, cheers to you guys. And then
yeah, he gave it to him because he also gave that same shot to the hikers and skiers of the pass. One thing I do like about these types of horror movies is that they do a really good job of keeping it lighthearted in the beginning. Very joyful, very fun, building some characters and maybe not building certain other ones. Like you obviously had a dick in this movie.
Yeah.
That you were like, okay, fuck this guy.
He kind of came around in the end.
He did. And I like those because you feel for the character. So you kind of feel bad if things happen to them and you're like, damn, they're put in this situation and they're kind of stuck.
Well, that's kind of what we came to the conclusion with in was it the last episode? When we talked about what really makes a good horror movie is when you care about the characters.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah.
You build that trust, that connection to them, and you're like really feeling the emotions behind all of the scenes that they're in.
Yeah.
And I really think that defines a decent horror movie. Now, the downfall can be how it ends.
Yeah.
What happens in the end or whatever. But
I mean,
I feel like this one's downfall was it's CGI.
PS2 graphics, man.
Yeah.
But
had they have kept it, even with those, like you said, there was this flashlight scene.
Yeah, dude.
They were in night vision way too often with this CGI that made it look really bad.
And I'm sure that's got to be more expensive, right? Like
night
showing
vision?
No. Like when you put all the CGI in a full character model, and then it's like you use that in the night, like you have to use the full character model in night vision,
right?
But with that one scene with the flashlight thing, you just have like a little flash here, a little flash there. Like just keep it that way. I think that's another thing too. That's why I fucking hated Sinister 2 so much, was they showed way too much of Bagul. Like Bagul was used perfectly in the first movie, and then the second one, it was just like the fucker was everywhere. I mean, he wasn't even in like the movies, or was, I don't know. I've only seen it once, and I wanted to walk out of the theater. I was so pissed, dude.
I've only seen it once too, and I can't really remember it too much.
I just remember he was out of the film a lot, and that was like, okay, the first one he ended with, he was out of the film. Like he came out of the film, he picked up a little girl and walked away into the film or whatever, and that was cool. It was creepy, but that was like the only time you saw him like out of the film. Yeah,
downfall with all these types of films is showing the villain too much.
Yeah, unless you have a really good one, right? Like a slasher, I want to see more of the villain.
Well, yeah, because you're interested in the kills, right? Yeah. But those are different types of horror movies.
Yeah,
where
exactly
you're trying to have a scare factor. You don't want to show your villain a lot. And then you have a slasher on the other hand. You want the villain to show in certain ways because you're genuinely curious on what their next move is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, man. But I guess to tie this up, wrap it in a bow, it just sucks that, like, I mean, if I was to disappear, like that, I would hope that people would at least know why.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that these 9 poor students are never going to have that answered.
Yeah, their stories left untold.
Literally. And that sucks. It is mildly infuriating. Like, it's kind of annoying that, like, we just don't, like, we'll never know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that mystery is just, like, it's a set piece in history
Unsolved.
forever, probably, unless we have like a time machine. Maybe it's in the mountain. But
no, on a more serious note, you do feel bad for these people, right?
Yeah.
Their story is left unraveled, mysteries, and we'll probably never know, especially in our life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully for history to come. I would say take it as a fair warning. Don't go to that mountain.
What the hell is that? Genuinely. Do you hear that?
The whistle?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What the fuck is that?
This is raw, baby. I don't know what it was.
Bro, that was a whole whistle.
I know.
You heard that, right?
I did, yeah. Huh.
We're not even on location and we're hearing shit, bro.
It's our own house.
That's so crazy. I call Cap. Somebody's home. Somebody's
we'll go
fucking
check it out.
Somebody's fucking
Here.
with us.
We'll go check it out here soon.
That's so crazy. I heard that. I was like, what the hell?
Where were we? Fuck.
Sorry, yeah.
No, I don't know.
Fucking whistle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep one of these off.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that their story has to end like that, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, once again, I want to reiterate this again. Let us know in the comments. Message us. We want to hear your thoughts on the movie and the incident itself.
Yeah.
You know? If you want to say to us the movie sucks, send us a DM and we'll happily laugh about it.
Yeah, send us one and just be like, you guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't know. I do appreciate like filmmaking. So like if you can make like build up tension and stuff like how this director did, even with what he did, with the
we do have to remember it's 2013.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, we've seen some good CGI, but without a budget.
Yeah.
Dude,
but like when did As Above So Below come out?
2012?
No, bullshit.
I'm looking this up. I got to.
Dude, it was like 2012.
No way.
Yeah, or 2011. It was a while back. Cuz they don't like make a lot of found footage movies anymore.
2014.
2014. Okay. So, a year later.
Yeah.
And that was gas.
True.
I loved.
But I also don't know what their budget was.
Well, it was I mean, yeah, there's no taking away from that. Like, well, this guy did it on a much smaller scale and stuff. And I mean, they built some pretty cool set pieces and, they actually traveled to some mountain. I don't know if it was the mountain, but
it was definitely a mountain and it was snowing and
they
made it look real.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's, yeah. See, I can appreciate that.
Yeah, props to that because that was well done.
Yeah. So it's like, I guess.
And the interior of the set was really well done too.
Yeah.
Like
Nazi zombie shit.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool.
It was wild.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know, man. It does suck that these people, man. But unfortunately, that is the way of the world. And this isn't going to be the last case that's just going to, piss me off that it's unsolved that we're going to cover, because I guarantee you there's going to be more.
Oh, definitely going to be more.
Yeah. So what are we at?
I don't know.
22 minutes.
Pretty solid.
You good?
Yeah. Let's sign off.
Okay.
Well, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you next time. This has been an episode of The Supernaturals. We'll see you around the graveyard, everyone.
Thanks for listening to this chilling episode of The Supernaturals. For your protection, make sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And stay tuned for the next episode.